Turning off normal human male mode. Switching to dad mode. Welcome in to Dad Mode with your hosts, Bearded Nova and Morph.
Beef with the generations on TikTok at the moment. I'm fucking out of it. I'm out of it. I don't fucking get it. And then the thing that really is, I guess, grinding my gears, if I want to say it, you can't be pissed off at one generation or the other because the generation before it is most likely the one that fucked up the one next to it, and vice versa. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, and I have an honest take about generational differences, but let's hear what you want.
But the other one is, it's not just, you know, my generation fucking up the next or whatever of how they raised it, because I don't feel like that. That's people inside my own generation that fucked that up. They're my own problem. My problem is not the fucking Gen Z at the moment, because I mean, technically I am a millennial, just Zennial, technically, you know, if you fit it, I'd say Zennial. But my problem is not with them. My problem is with their fucking parents. Yeah. That's my problem.
I am solidly in Gen X. I say solidly, but it's whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm Gen X, and you know, TikTok seems to be afraid of my generation, which, you know, I'm cool with because they should be, honestly. No, but I find the generational differences stupid, to be totally honest. Because if you think about it, if you look at the things that Gen Alpha are children, but that Gen Z complain about millennials, and millennials complain about X, and everyone complains about boomers, it's just stages of fucking aging. That's all that it is. Well, that's, you know, the things that you complain about. I can't buy a house when you're a Gen Z. No shit. You don't have a good job yet. When you get a good job, you'll have more money and you can buy a house. Like, Jesus, people, it's not what you think it is. It's just aging.
I mean, I can't 100% deal with that, because there's some I don't know what this housing situation is over there, but for over here, our housing is it's house value versus income. That gap has quite broadened in the last probably 10 years, like exponentially. It really is a pipe dream for most people nowadays, where over here for our housing. So I can't say people fuck it up. I don't know. I haven't bothered looking into it, but you know, like, so let me put it this way. For someone like my wife and I, for us, if we wanted to go get, since we've moved in this way, we were looking at buying a place. We earn close to $250,000 a year between the two of us, and that would struggle to get $1 million house, which is what we'd need. We need at least $1 million to get the house that we need for like our size family, and we would struggle to, one, find a house at that price point, and then two, you know, that's a lot gap compared to what housing used to be, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
But we're not, I don't think we're really going into our real estate episode yet, are we? Have we got to the real estate episode?
I don't think we're doing our real estate episode just yet. But you know, my financial situation is the same as yours. And I don't know. I mean, I sometimes I wonder if people are looking at more than their means when they say they can't afford something.
Yeah.
Because like when I look at rental prices around, you know, in the US, rental prices are honestly more than a mortgage.
Yes.
You have, if you can somehow come up with a down payment, you're going to live in a house that's bigger than an apartment for less than you pay for the apartment. So I know people say, oh, I can't afford to do this or that. But like, I also know that kids coming out of college, at least in the US, they're getting like 6 figures right out of the gate. So
it's something you never got.
What are you guys talking about? What do you mean you can't afford anything?
Yeah. Yeah, here, the same with the rentals went crazy, especially in my state. Thanks to COVID. Because my state took COVID on pretty good. I think we had a pretty good numbers compared to the rest of the country. And it turned out the moment like borders were open, or, you know, people could move or get out, we had a lot of people from interstate. So we never used to be the most expensive major city, but we were, you know, still a major city. We're now rank 2, approaching and getting closer and closer to rank 1. And like rank one is horrible. Like you're looking at a rundown piece of shit fucking 3-bedroom house in Sydney, and you're going to pay $3.5 million for it because like it's gone. That's what I mean. Like it's gone mental. So all these people down Sydney and Victoria, Melbourne, have sold up their expensive homes, and then they've moved to Queensland, to Brisbane, where I am, and then they brought homes cheaper or more of them, and it just sparked this stupid war of house pricing. Like, just people are buying houses for like a couple $100,000 above the market value, sight unseen, no pests, no checking on building or anything. They just hit all cash. We'll just take the house, type of thing. And that also happened to the rental market, where people were moving up. They didn't know where they wanted to buy the home or whatever. So they'd go into a rental and go, "Oh, we'll pay you 12 months rent at double the rate that you want."
Wow.
And it blew out. Like when my wife and I were looking at places at one stage, we'd like wait to see it, look at the house before we'd say yes or no to it, like before putting in an application. Most of the time, by the time we'd gone and looked at it, they've already had the application in before the house was even available to view and accepted someone. Like there was so many times it was like, "Oh, it's already off the market." It's like, this just came on the market. It's like, "Oh yeah, someone just chucked their name on and paid ahead." I'm like, fuck me.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Going back to the generations, I don't know why people just, I think it's just fascinating to talk about it. They just want something to complain about. I do, though. I was saying Gen X, the Gen Xers are typically overlooked. Like Gen Z complains about millennials complain about boomers. Yeah. And it's just like, I don't care that they leave my generation out. Like, don't fuck with us anyway. But
to be honest, I'm gonna just open up probably fucking hate here, because that's what TikTok does nowadays. And the moment it gets to it, I kind of classify probably like half of Gen X as boomers. Like that's the honesty of it. Like when they said this is actually, I actually had to refresh myself on the generational brackets, because it is brackets. It's not every fucking 15 years. It's very throw your fucking number out of dart and choose a range category. There's no science to it whatsoever or mass. But I actually wrapped up a lot of people as Gen X as boomers until recently, where I'm like, I thought this was like a mid-70s, mid-70s thing up until like the mid-80s. And then I'm like, well, hold on. No, it's actually ends at the 70s and in the 60s. I don't get this.
Yeah. It's you have Gen Xers that could be like 60 now.
Yeah, exactly.
Is boomer light. Anyone listening to this that is around that age, I'm sorry, it is what it is. But the same way there's a bridge between X and millennials, Zennial. Yeah. So there should be the same thing with boomers and
exactly. Xers. That's what I'm thinking. Like, there needs to be like a
Gen Z, but
like a 0.5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gen X 0.5 is this little area, and then you got like millennial 0.5. Because honestly, I didn't even know I shared generations with my younger siblings, and I'm like, we have a totally different upbringing. Like you can't even classify us as the same generation. Yep. You know what I mean? Because you ask me about my upbringing, everyone would go, "Oh, you're just a Gen X." And you ask him, and they go, "Oh, yeah, that's a typical millennial." Because half the shit millennials go on about, I go, "What the fuck's that shit? I don't like that crap."
Yep.
I hate Hannah Montana. I hate the fucking Disney, the Disney Channel. I'm not interested in High School Musical. That shit, let's fucking burn it down for all I care. I hated Zac Efron for the majority of my life until he became an adult and started doing some great fucking films in the most recent years. Because nowadays I see him on TV or a film, I go, I'll watch this because I'm interested in him as a mature actor. Like, you know what I mean?
Yep, I do. I can tell you what is weird for me, and I'm sure you can relate too, is, I skipped a generation, so like I'm X, but my kids are Z. Wait, they're not Alpha, are they? I don't know when Alpha starts. But my kids are 10 and 12. Yeah. So I think they're Zs.
Hold on, I'm looking this up. Generations by year, I guess, would be the best way to put this. Okay, Gen Gen Z only goes up to 2010. So technically, most of my children are Gen.
Oh my God. So my kids are alpha.
Some of mine are Alpha and some of them are Z.
Wow. So I skipped 2 generations. So my whole point there is, like my one son is in middle school, the other is about to go to middle school, and like they come home saying things that I need to translate on the internet.
Yeah.
What the hell is skibbity fucking toilet? What are all these stupid phrases?
Well,
I know I sound old now, but I am, but I don't know what they're talking about. It's annoying.
Yeah. I don't, yeah, and even millennials, younger millennials. Well, not younger millennials, the older Z, I thought were millennials. And I think some of them think they're millennials. You know what I mean? Like the kids around 2000, I don't even think half these people fucking know what they belong to.
I don't think so either. I don't know.
It's confusing and old, and I just want a blanket and to just wrap myself up and not hear about it. But like every time I open TikTok, that's all I hear about. Like I swear, it's every third video. It's someone's woken someone or someone's pissed off someone.
Yeah. I'm thinking we should, the people are probably listening thinking we should rename this podcast to 2 Old Men Complain About Kids.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Well, look, I had a house full of kids last weekend.
Oh, you had all of them?
Oh, no, it's not that. So the eldest turned 16, so she had a whole bunch of friends over.
Oh, right.
And then one of the others, I'm like, well, you may as well have a friend over because they're going to have friends over. There was lots of kids in the house. There was a lot going on.
And the one that turned 16 was your daughter, right?
Yeah, and then you added to it, I had my sister-in-law stay with me too. That's hard enough on the best of days.
What, are you running a hotel?
I don't know how I fit everyone in here. I don't know. I don't. It was a clown car. I don't know. It just somehow it fit in. I was so confused. And it's winter, but then both the kids have fans blowing 1,000,000 miles an hour and windows open and stuff into the night. I'm thinking it's getting down to freezing point throughout the evening. What the hell? Like, the rest of the house is booming a beautiful 26 degrees Celsius, which is probably like a 90, whatever your energy efficient air conditioning level is over there. That's booming around here. Like it's beautiful. I don't really need a jumper. I get to walk around the house. It's comfortable, I guess. Yeah. So I don't know why they're turning fans on. Confusing. But hilariousness was the night after the sleepover because the little girl, she's always sick from daycare. That's what we do. And she kind of was sick, went to the hospital just to get her checked out because they were open later and we couldn't get into a normal doctor the next morning. And we have like a hospital just down the road. So Australian healthcare, just drive down to the hospital, get them to check it out. Cost nothing. Did that. They checked her over. Looked up.
Nice.
I know. They checked her over. Went, here you go. Here's some stuff. Go home. Just keep her up on fluids. It looks like she's got a little bit of a virus. It's nothing to be concerned about. Obviously, teenage girls in the house. All excitement for another, child. She kept going in and around the house, interacting with all the kids. Turns out she had gastro.
Oh.
So the next night, my 16-year-old starts vomiting. Then I vomited. My wife was already sick. The other kid, she got sick the next morning, really. Or maybe throughout the night, I can't remember. But then everyone that stayed at our house got sick. So it was like 12 people were just fucking vomiting the next night. And I had to my wife just sent a picture of our daughter to everyone going, I'm sorry. That was it. She cleaned out.
You know how to throw a party.
Yeah, I know. I said, I can't wait. I'm sure everyone's lining up to come back to our house again.
Yeah. It reminds me, was it two years ago, I think? We're in the middle of COVID, but things were getting a little better. So I have people at my job on my team are located around the U.S. I had everyone fly in to the city I'm in, and we were going to have a team meeting for a week. We're going to wear our masks, be social distanced. Every single person except me got COVID while they were there.
Wow.
Yeah. And because of that, the company's like, stop doing that. Stop having people come in. So I ruined it for everybody for a while.
I didn't think I got COVID till like 3 years after.
I never got it.
Well, actually, no. I didn't get it. I had the flu the same time as my wife did, and I actually had to, because we have tests that you had to go and do tests and stuff, like drive-through places at times and that.
Yeah. When they jab a thing way up.
Yeah. So, they had reasons towards the end. They had reasons on why you had to go to them. It's usually if someone in your household had it, you had to drive to one as well. Like someone tested positive in your close vicinity household, you had to go. So I had that. I drove down to this one, going out. My wife's got COVID. I'm here to get tested, etc. In the fine print of all of them, we will charge you if it's unneeded while showing up a negative.
Really?
Yeah, they tried charging me $180. I fought the shit out of that. They even tried charging my wife, who went down there and did have COVID. Like, and they don't tell you that at the time. You like do the test, go home. You get your text message that night saying yes or no, what you got. And then it's like 2 weeks later, it just comes in the mail, this random bill. I don't know if it was just like trying to con people to like paying it, but yeah, I fought the shit out of that. Yeah, a couple $100 worth we got done for them.
That's crazy. That is crazy. They didn't charge anyone for any of that stuff here, which is amazing because in the US they like to charge everybody for everything. So
actually, that's great thing to bring up. COVID generations. Gen Alpha.
Yeah.
COVID babies is something that's popping up on TikTok for me as well.
What are COVID babies?
They call like babies that were conceived during COVID, but they're like, they call them COVID babies because they're like absolutely feral. Like just
isn't that most children? Most children are absolutely feral.
Yeah. COVID babies, feral babies. Apparently, I like that name. They call them COVID 2.0 babies now because you've had different waves. So depending on which wave COVID is depending on what COVID baby. Yeah, I'm really enjoying that.
Some of those kids, speaking of that, they had to do homeschooling for a little bit of time, if the schools were closed.
Yeah.
And like my kids were home for about a year and a half. And it's been amazing to see like the lack of social growth, because like they weren't with peers and learning all that stuff. So I feel like there's going to be a little generation going to be a little bit behind other kids.
I still feel like Gen Alpha lacks social interaction with others. I don't like, it could be like your kids. I don't know my kids. It's a lot of them struggle to do anything outside of school with their own friends. Like I bring it up to my kids and my wife all the time that I was constantly never home. Like, I was out visiting friends or going out with friends, or let's go to one stage through high school. There was an arcade, obviously not near me because we live rural, but near my friends where all my friends lived. And we would stay, no matter what, nearly every other weekend, we would go to this arcade and it cost $10 on a Sunday morning. You went in before the shops all opened and you got 2 hours of games and then you got a movie ticket and a movie ticket.
Wow.
So you go in there, do all these games, walk out from the arcade and across as a cinema, go into the cinema and we'd watch a movie. And none of my kids want to really. My oldest goes out after school occasionally, a little bit. That's it. But like none of. I don't notice that drive to go out and do things with your friends as important with the generation nowadays.
I mean, I don't think I saw my friends a ton before I got to high school. Once I got to high school, like you said, I was a ghost. I was never around. I was always out. The weekends, like I'd leave on a Friday and come home on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And there was no, there was no phone. I had no cell phone, and I was just gone. Like, I guess I'm going back to the generational shit now, but I don't mean to. But to give you an idea, like the difference is, my mom, there would be a commercial on TV at 10 p.m. and it said, "It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?" That is how different it is back when I grew up versus now, where you know where they are, you're tracking them on a phone, like everything. And we were just out in a field with strangers getting drunk. It was just, it's different.
I know my 6-year-old doesn't have a boyfriend or hasn't had a boyfriend or anything like that. And to be honest with my wife, I'm like, geez, like where I was in that sense was way different by then. You know what I mean? Like by 16, I was already, drinking Jack Daniels and Coke. out of cans, like at parties and stuff like that. You know, I had started smoking. I had done so much more in my life. Like,
doesn't so. You can tell me if you agree with this or not. But like, I feel like because of all the things that I did when I was growing up, that I get paranoid about my kids, but also there's nothing my kids can get away with because I've done it all and I recognize anything they try to do.
Yes. I get all that. I'm really on it. Like even our 13-year-old or 12-year-old, she's been going for walks with friends occasionally after, like when they catch a bus, a couple of them like all hop off the same bus. Then we go for friends and that. And she comes back, and the best way to put it is she's like stoned. State of stoned is the best way to put it. Like just looks it a little bit, glazed a little bit.
Yeah. Just
not all there in the head, very slow. And my wife and I are like, is she on something? Like, what's going on? Is it a vape thing? Like, because it's different nowadays, you know what I mean? It's not going down to the fucking creek with a bong or something after school. No, it's different. I don't see them smoking a sense. Vaping is, you know, probably doing it as a vape or such.
Yeah.
And we're like, is she? What? This would just come out of nowhere because you know she's only just started high school type of thing. And then I'm like, well, it's you know we're bound to have a child. My thing with the statistical numbers of kids that we have, we are bound to hit certain children no matter what. We're going to have it. But then we start scratching. It's like, well, but she doesn't have any money. Like there's no, so that doesn't, that, you know what I mean? Like our mindset's already straight to like, what's going on here? This seems sus. I've seen this face before. I know what, you know, I'm clued onto here. But then when you bring back the monetization and how to sustain something like that or get something like that, it's like, well, no, she never has cash or money or a bank to transfer money. So that doesn't make sense because that wouldn't happen without income.
Right.
So we're confused.
Maybe a friend has it, right? Maybe a friend of hers.
But it changes the friend, so it can't be. That's the thing, you know what I mean? Like it's different. It just keeps, we don't know. We're confused. It might just be a teenage thing and they're just like, I don't know, going brain dead the older they get for a bit. Yeah, that's it. Like when you're bringing up kids getting away with things, like we're on edge. We're ready. We will pick this stuff, you know, 100 miles out that it's going to happen. Yeah.
I had my older son for the first time a few weeks ago says, hey, after school, I'm going to go to the library with some friends. And my initial instinct was, So I'm like, yeah, I'll pick you up. And I didn't tell him when I was going to be there to pick him up because I wanted to make sure that I could catch him doing what I assumed he was doing, you know? Cause it's like, come on, man, come on.
Library.
Yeah. You know, some people like try to give their kids like cautionary tales of shit that they did when they were younger to scare their kids away from it. I don't do that. I don't want them to know that I've done everything.
No.
So they do it and think that I'll never catch on. I see everything. I see everything.
That's it. They don't need to know the extent of my journeys and the things that I've done in this time already. They don't need to know that because then it takes away the surprise.
Yeah. I don't even tell them when I know they're lying because I want them to think that they're good at it and they can get away with it. You know, if I need to, I'll bring it up later, or I like to wait till it's an important one. I'm like, actually, no, you're that's not true.
Yeah.
You know, so it's, you know, it's, they get away with, I got away with everything. They don't get away with anything.
At times I want to say, yeah, you get away with things. I know there's a lot of things I've gotten away with over time, but at times it dawns on me that maybe I didn't get away with some things that I thought I did. You know what I mean? Because like we're saying here, we let our children get away with some things. It's like, yeah, we know you done it, but we'll let you go away with it. Did my parents do that to me? You know what I mean?
Yeah. As you know, they say Gen X is weird because they raise themselves. I did. Like, really, I got a job at 10. And after that point, my mom was like, yeah, okay, you can buy your own school clothes and stuff now. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. And, you know, she was never home. So like I did. I literally raised myself. So no, I know she didn't catch anything because, you know, there was nobody there to catch me. So I know I get away with stuff.
Yeah, right. You got away with too much shit. But I mean, I did a lot of stuff that I know, you know, going into the sewers, for example, having Yeah, we used to be able to get in the sewer down the road from us. So, like, my brother and I would just go investigate the sewers all the time.
Isn't that where Pennywise lived in It?
Yeah, basically. Especially after watching that movie, like, kind of it sparked more of a fucking interest.
And then you saw the movie and then decided, yeah, let's now go into the sewer?
Yeah. You know, thinking about it as an adult, it's like stupid. But this is primary school me as well. Like, I wasn't even high school then. We're talking like 10 years old, like early primary school. It's like, we're going into the sewers.
The age that Pennywise loves. Got it.
Yeah. And then, you know, you'd see like a giant hole in the middle of the sewer. It's like, I don't know how deep that goes. Just be careful not to fall through it. Keep going. You know, thinking about that now, my own children, it sounds like certain death. You know, there's a good chance that one of the children wasn't coming home in that adventure. Didn't think about it all the time. But now as an adult, I look at it and go, we did that a lot. We really did just push the boundaries of that. I remember we used to take, you know, your body boards, you know, your body boards. Yeah. And when the floods would happen, you could go into like the golf course behind the house and jump in it. And you could ride that for a couple of miles creek because it overflowed. You just shoot down the creek for a few miles if you wanted to. That's cool. That's fun. You know, playing in flood water. During that time, you know, kids died from playing in floodwater, and then they started doing things to stop people from doing it. You know what? I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
I still look back on it and going, "That's a great time." Like,
I had so much fun growing up, and I can't believe I'm not dead. Like, I should have been dead 100 times over. And for me, one of my worst things was not a bad driver. I was a fast driver. Like, to the way we'd go out with friends, and they drew straws to see who had to drive with me. Yeah. You know, because it was frightening. I was a scary driver. We would drive side by side on a 1-lane road with our lights off at night, just cause.
You know,
I don't know what
we were both rural. You know, out of the city living. Did you ever do the drive at night where you just drive with your hazards on, just to see what that was like? No lights. You put your hazards on, and then say while you're driving, it just flash a light to see what you're doing as you're going down the road. Like, that's I don't know why I did it, but I did it.
We had a trick where, again, rural, right? So when you're approaching a stoplight, if you have it red, you turn off your headlights, and then you can see if there's headlights from a car coming the other way, and if there aren't, you just drive through the red light. Yeah. Now, these aren't ideas for anyone listening. These are stupid things that I did and maybe Bearded did growing up. So don't do them. We're not condoning this at all.
I remember the first day I got my license. Like, I had technically driven a few times around without my license because my parents would go out of town and I had a car. And my learners was actually how they used to do IDs. They looked very similar, but the ring that went around the name, like around your ID, blue was for learner, yellow was for license.
Okay.
And it was only a fine print that you could actually tell the difference, what was, if, you know, on the card itself. So when I got my learners, they accidentally printed my learners on a license, like laminated on the license one. So it looked like a license. If I flashed it at someone, it would look like a license. So every time my parents went out of town, I would just go for a drive because technically, if a cop pulled me over, I was just going to flash my license.
Right.
Yeah. But when I legally got my license and I could drive that afternoon, I remember I went and picked up a friend and we went driving, obviously, just went around. And it had to test to see how fast I could get my car. Like, that was instantly, you know, rural roads, long straight ones. It's like, how fast can we go? Okay, little, you know, I think we got to like 150 miles or something. Like, that was good times. And, you know, we both trusted it. It was all trust there. Like, can we do it? Yeah, let's do it. Let's see how fast we can go.
I do that in every car I get.
Yes.
I think the fastest I've gone is about 145. I love driving fast.
Yeah. So. Speaking about driving, though, I took my eldest one driving the other day.
You're still alive?
It went better than expected.
Really?
Yeah. Because I drove out of the house and I took us a bit away from the house. There's an estate getting its civil works done. So a lot of streets, but no houses. All the houses getting built. So there's no one around because we went, late in the afternoon type of thing. And I said, all right, we'll just drive around the block a few times, let her do that, basically rolling, the 15 miles or something like that, like not fast at all. She got pretty used to it. And then within half an hour, I'm like, okay, I'm thinking we'll go home. And I just looked at her, I'm like, you just want to drive home? She's like, oh, okay. So we entered traffic on the way home. Oof. Peak hour traffic too. But it wasn't far. Like it was only a stretch of maybe like a quarter, maybe half a mile of cars. We just had to turn onto one road, drive half a mile, turn off. Like you could see when we turned onto the road where we had to turn off. It wasn't craziness as such. But
did you have a heart attack?
At first I did. There's a couple of times you're going into the corner a little bit too fast, even at, 15, 20 miles an hour. It's nice and slow. I'm like, no, you're kind of going a bit too fast, because you get the car that start understeering and, we're going out wider and wider and wider.
Yeah.
Or like we're going down a hill. I'm like, start braking type of thing. But, didn't run into anything. I'm alive. She's alive. I did learn that I've always said she's going to test the boundary when it comes to, like, she's the one I'm most scared of when it comes to teaching things, because she's the one that knows it all. And she was great. She actually listened to the whole thing. I thought I was going to have to do a talk about, hey, like, that we're in something that costs a lot of money that can kill you. So, like, it is time to actually take things serious. But I didn't. I didn't lose my shit either. I was very patient. Learning the fact that I could be quite patient with something different.
That's
the whole thing was quite good. Probably do it again this afternoon.
I actually, so I started to learn when I was 13, and I actually intend on teaching my older son when he turns 13 later this year, because I think it's good to be practiced. So like I'll do what my mom did and brought me to an empty parking lot and get used to it. And once I got good at that, then she brought me on a back road somewhere. Cause again, we live in the middle of nowhere. And then, by the time I was 16, like I passed the test, like the 2 days after I turned 16.
Here, you can't, you have to go to a learner's.
Oh, you have to, huh?
Yeah. So to get learners, you have to be 16 to get it. So you can't get your driver's license until you're 17 here.
Okay.
But to get your learners, and it's changed, so I could get this wrong in case someone in Australia does get this. She had to do an online test, and it had like lots of videos of things going on and who do you give way to and stuff like that, which I thought was kind of cool. So she had to do the online test and pass. I think she could only afford to get 3 out of the 30 wrong. Then once she had that, we could go down to the Department of Transport and get her license done. Once she's got her license, she then has another app that she has to put on her phone, and then she can learn to drive in a car with someone who has an open license, like myself. And for her to get her full license and to get her license at 17, between now and then, she has to do 1,000 hours of driving.
It's a lot.
With someone. Oh, yeah. So many of them are at night as well. So they make you, so many have to, I think it's like 15 hours have to be at night or 10 hours have to be at night. The rest have to be whenever. It GPS logs them. So when she clicks start in the app, it'll start, she has to put down the car and the Ks and that. So, we're registering what was done at GPS, like Google Maps, just follows around where she was driving and that. She has to do another test online, which is like a hazard test after 6 months from now. Like there's so many things the kids have to do so they're well prepared when they go for.
Yeah.
Like for myself, it was 20 questions.
That's so different.
Yeah. For myself, it was 20 questions at 16 or 16 and a half. I don't know what it was. One of those two. And then at 17, you could go for your license. You didn't have to do anything. There was nothing you needed to do in between getting your learners and your license. You couldn't drive. If you did want to drive, you had to drive with someone who had a full license. But other than that, I didn't have to do so many lessons. I didn't have to do so many questions or whatever. It was just wait until I was 17 and then drive for a test. Yeah. It's a lot.
It was easier for me. Like I turned 16. I got permit, and I only had to do like a couple hundred hours, and I did that within a month or so. And then I scheduled my test for December. 20 question test. You can get 4 wrong. And then you have a 15-minute, driving test with an instructor or the transport agent.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
That was mine. The 20 questions to get my learners, and then do what you want until you're eligible to get a license, and then sit a half an hour driving test with someone at the transport company, and that was it.
I mean, in all fairness, I mean, in the time since I've had my license, I have been in a good half dozen accidents and got a good 20 some odd tickets. But,
I've had a lot of tickets.
The way I drive.
I've had a lot of tickets, no accidents. I only one, actually. But that wasn't my fault. Someone actually reversed. Police officer reversed out of the driveway of the house without looking and took me out as I was driving past.
I got a ticket for accidentally running a police officer off the road. It was an accident. All right. See, what happened is I'm driving down the road and I got to put a new CD in. So I look down and I go to put the CD and I look up. I'm on the other side of the road and there was a cop coming and he had to veer off the road into the ditch. And I was like, oh crap, let me get out of here. So I gunned it. And then I knew a road was coming up that kind of went down. So I got down there and I stopped. And then he flew past the road. I hear his brakes lock up and he saw me at the end. He was not happy. not happy at all. So if my boy's listening to this, I'm lying and don't do that.
Point of the story is everyone survived and everyone was safe.
Yes. Nobody died.
Because you were a tougher generation.
That's right. Because we drink fucking hose water. And like we've said on many episodes, there were also no participation trophies when we grew up.
But we'll say we participated in this episode, so thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you very much.
You've been listening to Dad Mode. Our passion is navigating this wild journey of parenthood and modern life. From balancing family time to managing your career and still squeezing in some gaming and content creation. And no matter what the women say, they will never be able to pry the controller out of our cold, dead hands. Anyway, we hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, find us on Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Dad Mode Podcast. And we can be found on every podcast site at Dad Mode Podcast. Y'all be cool. See you next time.